All right. So let me give you a sense of what's going on in the Manhattan and generally New York City real estate market right now. So it's basically the summary is we are down. And what I've been telling my folks and people who have been asking, the market is down like somewhere around 30% in terms of the number of transactions that are happening. Yet the prices have only come down about 5% since last year, which was a peak pricing in the history of New York City. So that's important to remember. Low inventory is contributing to this. So even though the numbers of transactions are way down, way less demand than we saw a year ago, prices have not dropped in proportion to the number of transactions. And low inventory has to do with that. It's still propping up the pricing. This is true all across the city. And I'm going to show you some of the Manhattan numbers just as an example. So here you can see, this is the Corcoran report for April 2023, Manhattan condos and co-ops. Although the month is compared against an abnormally strong April 2022, sales were still 20% below the 10-year April average of 1,211 transactions. Okay, so even if you forget about the fact that 2022 was a record-breaking year, we're still down 20% over the average of the last 10 years, and that is because of things like high rates and because of economic uncertainty and low inventory. So then if you keep coming down, there's lots of cool stuff that we can unpack in here, but to keep it somewhat short, look here, if you look at the average price per square foot, you'd see it's $1,738. This is down 5% versus a year ago, down 4% since last month. But this 5% since a year ago, that's the number. That's the number that I think is most interesting or worthy of mention. So again, low inventory, lots fewer sales. The pricing has not come down that much. So it's still not the worst time to be a seller, truthfully. And buying opportunities are getting better than they were. Last thing, I'll just point this out too, negotiability factor. So this is interesting, minus 3.8% versus, minus 4% on condos, 3.6% on cooperatives. So negotiability factor is the difference between the asking price or the last ask and the sale price, meaning that things are typically going on average 3.8% below the last ask. This is just a useful thing in general. If you're both a buyer and a seller and you're trying to negotiate an offer or thinking about how you're pricing things, it's just good to note that you want to, if you're pricing 10% over where the market is or whatever, that's really, especially in a market like this, that's not necessarily like a good strategy as a seller, because you want to price closer to the price that you think it will transact, because the negotiability is relatively small. Like we're talking below 5% negotiability, meaning that the asking price and the closing price are relatively similar. That's just a little tip for both on the buy and on the sell sides. So, all right, I hope this is fun. Talk to you soon.